me, Steven!
We'll break up soon, and I will kill more.
The courtroom, traditionally a bastion of order and decorum, transforms into a stage where the human condition unfolds in ways that will leave you questioning the very essence of truth and the boundaries of the law. From jaw-dropping confessions to unforeseen twists that defy even the most seasoned legal minds, these courtroom moments are etched in the annals of legal history. Join us as we delve into the heart-stopping, spine-tingling tales of justice, served with an unexpected side of drama. We will start with the Russian court. While the trial was ongoing, a Russian guy who was on trial for the murder of his sister attempted to somehow escape via the roof. When Leonid Gracer, then 18, was sitting in a glass-walled box at Sherbinski Court in 2019, he believed he could slip out while everyone was watching. The Russian tried to make a break for it, but many policemen saw him and grabbed his leg before he could get too far through the tile ceiling. In the process, it seemed like he misplaced his pants. As one police officer holds Gracer's leg, the other cries for help, and Gracer is able to shake off his pants and release a leg. The police managed to restrain the Russian until assistance could come, and when it did, he struck him with a taser to bring him to the ground. After agreeing to descend, Gracer was able to slide back into the box. To stop him from escaping any further, he was shackled as soon as he pulled up his pants. Gracer's situation was awful, even if it was amusing to watch how he managed to escape. He said that Satan had given him the command to murder Ariadna Korol, his 21-year-old sister. Witnesses at the murder site report that Gracer stripped while scribbling demonic symbols in blood over his sister's body and his head, just before police backup arrived. He was pleading with them to free him of Satan, the eyewitness said. He allegedly did not mention Satan in a confession to Russian police, but rather said that murdering his sister was necessary and that he did what he had to do. The Sherbinski District Court in Moscow condemned Gracer to mandatory mental medical therapy in September 2020. Next, we will move towards the Australian court. A South Australian man who attempted to escape detention by jumping from a court docket has been imprisoned for a minimum of 1 year. Daniel James Nicholson, 35, was accused and entered a guilty plea to 2 charges: deliberately causing damage to a prescribed emergency worker and trying to escape from detention after making an effort to run. On September 15, 2020, the O'Sullivan Beach father of 4 made his first court appearance in connection with accusations of carrying an offensive weapon and owning a restricted weapon. Nicholson may be seen jumping over the dock in video footage after realizing that his bail had been revoked by Judge Sue O'Connor. After Nicholson freaked out about the verdict, 2 sheriff's officers confront him and make an effort to stop him from leaving the Christie's Beach Magistrates Court. After a fight breaks out, Nicholson makes his second try at jumping from the pier and falls on the bar table. Brendan Gottschutsk, the police prosecutor, instantly grabs the defendant and pushes him to the ground. But Nicholson escapes his grip. Nicholson is pulled from behind, loses his equilibrium, and falls backwards. The sheriff's deputies help catch him again. After that, Nicholson is confined. One sheriff's deputy had to wear a moon boot for 6 weeks after breaking his right foot in the incident. Judge Laisel Chapman said at Nicholson's sentence that the sheriff's deputy was unable to drive and required assistance with dressing and bathing. She said that the guy had anxiety about his interaction. blanket in Joshua's master bedroom. Additionally, according to the prosecution, Morgan admitted to the police that he loved fire and had started one in the residence 2 weeks before. The adolescent broke down in tears once again in court after entering a guilty plea to charges of third-degree arson, criminal behavior toward a minor, and involuntary manslaughter.
Now, in a dramatic new development, Kimberly Long has just been released.
There were hugs of relief.
The Riverside County District Attorney's Office dropped the murder charge against a woman from Corona after admitting they couldn't prove her guilt.
Our ethical duty under the law, therefore, compels us to move to dismiss at this time.
Right. I'm ordered the case dismissed.
Thank you.
The Corona lady went to jail in 2003 for killing her lover. The California Supreme Court ruled that Kimberly Louise Long, who was 45, will have a new trial in November 2020 after her lawyers successfully claimed that she did not have enough legal help during her sentence. When her lover, Oswaldo Ozzy Conde, was found dead in her house, Long was charged with murder. She went through 2 cases. In the first hearing, which began in 2005, the jury could not decide what to do. She was found guilty of second-degree murder in December 2005. In 2006, she was given a 15-life sentence. Her lawyers argued against her 2014 arrest. Long told the cops about what happened at Conde's home in Corona on October 6, 2003. The police found Conde dead in a terrible situation. His autopsy showed that he had been hit hard. Long was caught after telling the police that she and Conde had fought before he died. The California Innocence Project and the California Western School of Law helped Long take her case to the California Supreme Court after she was found guilty. The Innocence Project says that Long and her lawyer were able to convince the jury that she did not have any blood on her clothes, even though Conde's body was covered in blood.
There's no way that the person who committed this murder wouldn't have been covered in blood, and Kimberly had no blood on her.
The cops didn't care that she passed a polygraph test. There was someone who saw her die in the flat hours after Conde did. The murder scene had a cigarette butt with DNA that could not be used to identify the person. The judge in Riverside County Superior Court, who oversaw Long's cases, agreed to give her a new trial in 2016, according to the district attorney's office. He did that because he agreed that she didn't get good legal advice during her trial, which is what led to her guilt. He didn't do it because he thought she was innocent. The prosecutors took their case to the appellate court, which overturned the lower court's decision to give the woman a new hearing and upheld her sentence. In November, the Supreme Court didn't agree with the appeals court and said there should be a new hearing. Mike Histrin, the district attorney, said that Long was no longer charged with murder. A news report stated, "We can no longer prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury, in part due to the lengthy passage of time since the murder and the deaths of key witnesses." Long has long protected people who were wrongly accused. The story was told to kids in Indio in 2017. During her talk, Long hoped that telling her story would encourage more young people to become criminal defense lawyers.
Watch Daily's investigation also played a role.
I'm very grateful for Crime Watch Daily. Thank you so much for doing this story. We appreciate it.
Not mad at them. I am thankful for my freedom. I'm glad if I can even change one life, she said in her 2017 speech. Such smart and pretty kids. You should become lawyers and help people who are wrongly accused.
Now, in a dramatic new development, Kimberly Long has just been released.
An emotional Kimberly Long walked out of the courtroom hand in hand with her family for the last time.
I want to say thank you, because in 27 years, I've been fighting for my life.
27 years after being wrongfully convicted of murder when he was a teenager, John Bunn broke down in tears in court after being proven not guilty of the crime.
John Bunn has been waiting for this moment since 1991.
When John Bunn, who is now 41 years old, thanked a judge in New York for not convicting him of murdering Rolando Nisher in 1991, he broke down in tears after expressing his gratitude.
John Bunn's journey for justice began on August 13, 1991.
When he was taken into custody for the murder, he was just 14 years old or younger. After being convicted of murder with the use of contaminated evidence, he was sentenced to 17 years in jail. Despite the fact that Mr. Bunn, who resided in Brooklyn, was granted his freedom in 2009, he continued to work towards clearing his record. In the case where a former detective who had investigated the murder of Nisher was accused of fabricating evidence, lying in court, and coercing others to confess, he was found not guilty of the acts in question. As a result of the evidence of the only witness, Robert Croson, a second prison officer who was present during the shooting, Mr. Bunn and his buddy Rosen Hargrave, who was 17 years old at the time, were found guilty of the murder of Nisher. Detective Louis Scarcella, a disgraced former star detective whose body of work has prompted an investigation by the Brooklyn District Attorney, took a picture of the kids. A great number of sentences have been reversed, and a great number of cases that are connected to Mr. Scarcella are now being investigated. The judgment that had been handed down to Mr. Bunn was overturned, and a new trial was ordered by Judge Shondia Simpson of the Brooklyn Supreme Court in 2016. There was not enough evidence to support the allegations, according to local news reports, which said that authorities had announced that they were withdrawing the charges. They won't admit it or swear I'm not guilty. The judge completely forgives me, but I'm innocent, Your Honor, and I always have been innocent, Mr. Bunn told the court as he cried. He stated, "I want to thank you so much for what you have done for me in saving my life and the lives of my family. I've been fighting for 27 years to keep my life and remain innocent. To do that, you need a judge who is not afraid."
Y'all know that y'all convicted and had a wrong man in prison.
After the tears of joy,
You all had the wrong man this whole time, and you have someone out there running free, he told the investigators. You were wrong to act the way you did. Also, Mr. Hargreaves will not be tried again after his murder sentence was overturned in 2015. The defense lawyer for Mr. Bunn, Glenn Garber, said that the problems with the prosecution's case were very obvious. There was no probable cause to make an arrest. Mr. Garber of the Exoneration Initiative, which helps people in New York who have been wrongly convicted for free, said, Ms. Simpson agreed, even though she looked angry when she cleared Mr. Bunn.
there were hugs of relief. Some moments are just worth waiting for.
She said, "This case was tried. A jury was chosen. Evidence was delivered. And it was over in one day. That doesn't make sense to me at all." In the hushed confines of a courtroom, where justice teeters on the precipice of a life-altering decision, the air is thick with tension. The gallery's collective breath holds steady as the gavel echoes, sealing the fate of an individual whose actions have sent shockwaves through our society. In a moment that defies the ordinary, we delve into the aftermath of a school shooter's trial, where the echoes of tragedy reverberate with an unsettling intensity. In the nation, there was one more school shooting. It happened in a remote Washington State high school this time. A 15-year-old kid is charged for shooting 4 of his classmates, one of whom was killed. Prior to this occurrence, Caleb Sharp, the youngster, had been with a school counselor about his suicidal thoughts. He took 2 weapons to school shortly after, wounding 3 pupils and killing 1 more. He claimed in court filings that he assaulted these youngsters because they were bullying him. The majority of Caleb's peers were aware of his problematic conduct, according to the records. They say that he would often bring notes to school indicating that he was about to do something stupid. The kids further state that Caleb had an obsession with gun violence and had uploaded videos of himself shooting and tinkering with weapons on the internet. In the little hamlet of Rockford, Caleb Sharp was a student at Freeman High School. There were 300 pupils in the school, and most of them knew one another very well. On September 13, 2017, that tragic day, Caleb fled home and left his parents a suicide note. After that, he fired shots at 4 students. The school hasn't answered as of yet. It's unclear what kind of therapy Caleb had or how his suicide thoughts were addressed. It is known that Caleb did bring an assault rifle and a pistol to school. Per court filings, he carried the pistols into the school in a duffel bag. Caleb took the AR-15 weapon out and began firing it into the corridor as soon as he was within the school grounds. The firearm became stuck. "I always knew you were going to shoot up the school," a fellow student remarked to Caleb as they approached him. Caleb fired the pistol, striking him in the head and abdomen. Caleb continued to shoot, hitting 3 more kids with the pistol. He dropped the revolver when it jammed and gave himself up to a janitor who was coming. The janitor assisted him on the ground until the police could come. Then, Caleb was sent to a juvenile prison facility. Caleb said at the correctional facility that he had shot the pupil due to bullying, although he did not name the individual. He said that he did it to demonstrate to everyone what occurs when someone bullies someone else. It is anticipated that the 3 injured classmates will make a full recovery. Sharp may be handled as a juvenile offender due to his age, even though he is anticipated to be charged with many crimes, including murder. Guns had always piqued Caleb's interest, and it seems the school overlooked his menacing demeanor. Following the killing of 4 of his classmates at Freeman High School in 2017, Caleb Sharp entered a guilty plea to charges of premeditated murder and attempted murder. He was given a 40-year to life sentence. Sharp will spend at least the next 35 years behind bars, with credit for almost 5 years spent, until he is eligible for parole at the age of 55. The punishment was imposed in front of a full courtroom after Sharp's earlier in the day address to the victims and community. In January, Sharp entered a guilty plea to 3 charges of attempted murder, second-degree assault, and premeditated murder. The state and defense presented psychologists' evidence to the court at Sharp's sentencing trial. Psychologists differed on whether Sharp's mental state at the time of the shooting could be diagnosed, but they all concluded that Sharp is unlikely to commit violent crimes again. Sharp's public defense attorney, Brooke Foley, said on Friday morning that Sharp ought to be punished below the usual range as he was a juvenile offender due to his age and inexperience at the time of the incident. Foley requested a fixed sentence of 20 years. According to Foley, the legislation in Washington makes it evident that minors' brains are still developing, which lessens their culpability for their acts. After serving his time in prison, Sharp ought to be given the opportunity to have a fulfilling life and reach important life milestones like getting married, having a family, and voting. According to the legislation, the penalty must emphasize rehabilitation rather than retaliation, Foley said. She said that the Sentence Review Board could provide the community the guarantees that Sharp would get therapy and won't be freed until he is prepared to reintegrate into society. In his lengthy remarks before imposing the sentence, boundaries of understanding.